night silent. Zhao Qi was currently in a forest, looking at the open space in front of him. He felt a little confused, because in his mind he should have just returned home after buying a mouse, but how could it be? Wasn't it just an illusion? He couldn't help but think of what happened before he fell into coma. Zhao Qi is from Henan province. He just graduated from college and now works for an insurance company in CQ City. He doesn't have any other special hobbies. He usually likes to watch movies, read novels, anime, etc. He is a semi-otaku. He doesn't like hanging out with others, and naturally, he doesn't have many friends. Today was Zhao Qi's day to rest, but his mouse suddenly broke while playing games. If he had just gone to a computer store outside to buy a mouse and come back, he might not be in the same situation as he is now. It's just that he had to bargain with the boss. Although the total was only 30 yuan, he had this habit since he was a child. He would feel uncomfortable if he didn't bargain, even if it was a dime cheaper. The boss later gave up and found him a glass bead for only 5 cents to add to his head, and his twisted mind was relieved. Zhao Qi hurriedly returned home with the newly bought mouse and was about to put it on and continue playing. The glass beads on the side suddenly glowed with a dazzling red light. Zhao Qi couldn't help but pick it up and take a closer look. Why is it still glowing? Zhao Qi thought curiously. At this time, he felt a pain in his hand, as if he had been pricked by a needle. It's bleeding. Zhao Qi looked at his hand. Zhao Qi's blood seemed to melt into the glass beads, and then the glass beads floated up out of thin air, turning into a red light and drilling into his forehead. Detection completed. The original system has been successfully matched to the new host and officially started. A voice sounded in Zhao Qi's mind, and then Zhao Qi lost consciousness. When he opened his eyes, he was in the wilderness. Host Zhao Qi has entered the first world, the world of the movie Mr. Zombie. A mechanical voice suddenly sounded in Zhao Qi's mind. Who? Who is talking? Zhao Qi looked shocked. This system is called the Origin Completion System. You can call me Origin. I can lead the host to travel to the worlds in various movies, TV series, and even novels and animations to carry out Origin plunder to complete the purpose of this system. You are the 47th host of this system. I hope you can take over the last wishes of the previous 46 hosts and work hard to serve the system. The mechanical voice continued. What will happen if I don't accept it? Although Zhao Qi still didn't want to believe it at this time, he had to believe it when he faced the mysterious voice in his mind and looked at the old forest in the wilderness. You will be forced to be humanely destroyed, and this system will continue to wait for the next host, so this system hopes that you can accept it. Everything you obtain in the mission world will become your real possessions. This system will obtain origin points based on the missions you complete and exchange them for items that have appeared in the current movie world. Strength, longevity, power, and no longer the same life. All of these can be realized. The mechanical voice continued. If he doesn't accept it, he will die. At the same time, Zhao Qi also realizes that this may be a turning point in his life and the only chance to change his ordinary life. I usually complain about the lack of opportunities. Now that the opportunity is in front of me, shouldn't I seize it tightly? Tell me what to do. Zhao Qi took a deep breath. After all, he didn't want to die yet, so he could only try to accept it. The host needs to complete the 3 main tasks given by this system before returning to the real world. Task 1. Successfully become a disciple of Uncle Gio and obtain 500 origin points upon completion. Unfinished. Task 2. Eliminate the female ghost Dong Xiuyu. After completion, you'll get 800 origin points. Unfinished. Task 3. Destroy the zombie Ren Weiyong. After completion, you will get 1,200 origin points. Unfinished. Punishment for mission failure, obliteration. The host can call up the task interface at any time. Since this is the first time for the host to travel through time, the host is now given 2 preferential treatments. You can choose one of them. 1. Comprehensively improve the host's physical fitness and mental strength, which can be more than twice that of ordinary people. 2. Improve the host's qualifications by 1 level, including root bones, understanding, and meridians, and slightly improve luck. The host's current qualifications are ordinary and inferior, and can be upgraded to good and medium. Please host to choose as soon as possible. There are 3 tasks in total. Fortunately, I have watched Mr. Zombie, a classic movie by Lin Jingying. Otherwise, it would be even worse. First of all, it should be easier to complete the first task of apprenticeship with Uncle Jiao. After all, guarding Yizhuang is not an easy job at this time. No one is willing to do it. If I am more sincere, apprenticeship should be no problem. As for the original plot, Zombie Ren Weiyong would be destroyed by Uncle Jiao without me. As long as I don't mess around, it's only the second mission. In the original plot, the female ghost Dong Xiaoyu was released by Uncle Jiao, but I had to destroy it. Although it might be a good ghost, I had no choice but to do it. Only this task is a bit difficult. When the time comes, you will adapt accordingly and complete the first task first. Zhao Qi analyzed the situation in front of him in his mind. If I improve my qualifications, it will take a long time to practice to show my advantages. However, improving my physical fitness can play a role now, and I will not consider luck or anything. What I am thinking about now is how to live better. I choose the first one. Zhao Qi said to Yuan. The host chooses the first item, and the physical fitness and mental strength are increased to twice that of ordinary people. Host, do you accept it? Take over. At this time, Zhao Qi only felt hot all over, and his soul seemed to be out of body for a moment. Zhao Qi couldn't help but moaned. The distribution is over. Zhao Qi swore that he had never felt so good in the past 24 years. The world had never been so clear before him. He could even see the lines on the leaves, hear the whisper of the wind, and his mind was clearer than ever. This feeling is really refreshing. Zhao Qi is full of expectations for the next journey. The only thing I have to do now is to get out of the woods and find Uncle Jiao, but I think the system will make arrangements. Zhao Qi thought silently. At this time, Zhao Qi looked up at the moon in the sky. The bright moonlight filtered through the leaves and formed spots on the ground. He suddenly realized that this was the world of Mr. Zombie, a world with ghosts and zombies, and he had been most afraid of hearing ghost stories and watching ghost movies since he was a child. Fortunately, the dark clouds did not cover the moon. Zhao Qi comforted himself. He picked up a wooden stick on the ground to cheer up. Now I can only move forward. I have no way out. I have to calm down. Zhao Qi took a deep breath and told himself, but if it is similar to the movie, I will be able to run after improving my physical fitness. Zhao Qi chose a direction and carefully looked at the surrounding environment as he walked. Why is it so quiet? No sound at all. Zhao Qi swallowed. Origin, are you there? This system cannot provide you with more help during the mission. Yuan's voice sounded in Zhao Qi's mind. I just want to find someone to talk to. I'm scared. Origin. Zhao Qi was walking when he suddenly heard a woman crying. Zhao Qi was frightened and turned around. A simple person in this era might have gone over curiously to see what was going on and see if there was a possibility of an affair or something. But for Zhao Qi at this time, he felt as uncomfortable as being raped because the barren mountains and old forests and the sound of a woman crying were a perfect scene from a ghost movie. It's over. This time we met for real. Although he had always been afraid, he had never seen her before. Zhao Qi acted shamelessly and pretended not to hear anything. He changed direction and continued walking, twice as fast as before. However, he still did not dare to run, for fear that something would catch up if he ran. Walked for a while. Whoa. Zhao Qi. It's over. You're targeting me. It's a blessing, not a curse. You can't avoid it. Zhao Qi gritted his teeth. If I don't even dare to face this level, how can I talk about the future? I want to see what a ghost looks like today. Zhao Qi calmed down and continued walking in the direction of the crying. After a while, he saw a woman in white clothes with her back to him, as if squatting on the ground, shrugging her shoulders and sobbing slightly. From the back, you can see that the hair is very long and has been dragged to the ground. The dark night, the woods, the deserted scene, and the crying woman in white clothes. If it were normal, Zhao Qi would have fainted and fallen unconscious after seeing such an impactful scene. However, after what happened today, he clearly realized that he had to let go of his fear. Moreover, he was now more than twice as strong as an ordinary person, both physically and mentally. His ability to exceed ordinary people also gave him great confidence. Zhao Qi did not walk over, but stood far away and asked the woman in white, "Are you trying to seduce me? Are you pretending to cry? Or are you just taking the bait?" The shoulders of the woman in white suddenly stopped shaking, and her sobs became much quieter, as if she was also a little confused. Then it returned to its previous state. Zhao Qi didn't say anything, just watched from the side. The woman in white seemed to understand that Zhao Qi would not come and suddenly turned around, only to see that her face was covered with fur, her eyes were glowing green, and her mouth was pointed, like a person with a fox head. It slowly stood up, stretched out its 2 claws hidden in its sleeves, and stared directly at Zhao Qi. Zhao Qi couldn't help but swallow at this moment. Suddenly, the woman in white let out a scream and suddenly rushed towards Zhao Qi. Zhao Qi turned around and started running. Seeing the trees on both sides of his eyes flying past him, Zhao Qi felt as if he was flying. It was so fast, twice the physical fitness of ordinary people. Even if he had not received professional running training, he could maintain a speed of about 1 second and 10 meters, which was a proper Olympic champion level. However, after all, it is only at the Olympic champion level, and it still belongs to the category of human beings, not including monsters. I saw the monster running quickly towards Zhao Qi on all fours, slightly faster than Zhao Qi. It made weird screams from time to time, as if it was laughing at Zhao Qi's overestimation of his abilities. Zhao Qi wished he had 2 extra legs at this time. His mind went blank. He just kept running forward, but after all, he was in the woods and not on a flat trail, and this monster still had the home field advantage. The distance between the two had shortened from more than 20 meters to 10 meters. At this time, the monster's hair suddenly stretched out and wrapped around Zhao Qi's waist with a whoosh, pulling Zhao Qi over. Zhao Qi lost his balance and fell to the ground, waving his limbs randomly. Zhao Qi has been pulled to the side of the monster, with 2 claws pressing on Zhao Qi's body. His green eyes looked at Zhao Qi's whole body, and he saw it sticking out its tongue and licking the corners of its mouth, just like a sneaky fox, letting out a hee-hee laugh. "Little brother, you run so fast." The sound made by the monster was actually a woman's voice. Zhao Qi looked at the monster in front of him, who didn't know whether it was a demon or a ghost. The fear that had just been suppressed in his heart came back. After all, he was just an ordinary person. He really died before he left the battlefield. Zhao Qi closed his eyes and thought. Zhao Qi could feel the hot breath exhaled from the monster's mouth hitting his neck, but at this moment, he felt cold all over his body, as if he was naked in the cold winter. "It seems that he is going to bite my neck off first." Zhao Qi couldn't help but have this idea. Is this the end of my life? Zhao Qi hoped that a miracle would happen at this time. Suddenly, at this moment, Zhao Qi heard a shout. "Yukai courageous." Chapter 2 Taoist Priest with 4 Eyes. "Monster, you are so brave," shouted into Zhao Qi's ears, and Zhao Qi could not help but feel refreshed. "I can't just give up and wait for death." Zhao Qi didn't know where the strength came from and began to struggle violently. He hugged it upwards with his hands and kicked his legs back, trying to get his body out of the monster's control. "Oh, ha ha ha. Where does this old Taoist priest come from? Dares to ruin my elegance. Be careful of risking your life here, or hurry up and get your body out of here." The monster raised its head and looked at the visitor with contempt. "You're a vixen, your moral character is not high, but your tone is not bad. Taoist priest, I want to see how you take away my old life today. Zhao Qi heard the ringing of bells, accompanied by the sound of meat jumping, getting closer and closer. He felt that the pressure on his body suddenly disappeared, and he quickly stood up with a wooden sword across his eyes. Little brother, are you okay? A hand reached into Zhao Qi's armpit and lifted him up. Zhao Qi raised his head and saw the situation clearly. The visitor was seen wearing a black Taoist crown, an apricot Taoist robe, holding a wooden sword, a copper bell on his waist, and a pair of glasses. Although there was a bit of a Philistine in his eyebrows, he could not hide his righteousness at this time. Looking at the familiar appearance of the man in front of him, it turns out that Taoist Master Simu saved me. Zhao Qi thought to himself. Taoist Master Four Eyes is Uncle Jio's younger brother in Mr. Zombie. The two of them studied in the same discipline. Although Taoist Master Four Eyes is not as advanced as Uncle Jio, he should not be underestimated. If I remember correctly, Taoist Master Four Eyes should be doing the job of exorcising corpses. Sure enough, Zhao Qi saw a group of zombies fighting against a vixen. Due to the large number of people, he didn't know the pain, but he could hold on for a while. However, the walking zombies are not zombies after all. Their bodies are not strong enough, and their speed is slower than ordinary people. Several walking zombies have had their joints broken and cannot stand up. Zhao Qi, who has watched the movie, knows that these are the guests of Taoist Four Eyes. They were hurt. Taoist Four Eyes' trip was in vain, but in order to save him first, Taoist Four Eyes did it anyway. Ouch, I'm lying down again. I feel so bad. I have to pay for this trip. Oh, you evildoer. Taoist priest, I must do justice for God today. Zhao Qi listened to the angry voice of Taoist priest Simu and thought of the plot in the movie and couldn't help but want to laugh. As soon as he opened his mouth to thank Taoist priest Four Eyes for saving his life, he heard Taoist priest Four Eyes say, "Little brother, you stay away. I will collect this monster first." Zhao Qi nodded and hurriedly hid aside to watch how Taoist Simu subdued demons. And he was also curious about what Taoism looked like. Taoist priest Four Eyes picked up the copper bell fastened to his waist and swung it quickly. The zombies that besieged the vixen retreated one after another. It seemed that he was also afraid that he would be injured more and suffer more. I saw Taoist priest Four Eyes standing on the 7 stars, holding a wooden sword, stabbing the vixen. The vixen hurriedly hid aside for fear of being stabbed and shouted, "It seems that I will eat another old Taoist priest today." He waved his claws to grab Taoist priest Four Eyes. Taoist priest Four Eyed raised his wooden sword to block and saw white smoke rising from the vixen's paws. It turned out to be a century-old peachwood sword. The vixen retracted his claws and jumped back. It turned out that Taoist priest Four Eyed took out a yellow talisman and threw it forward. At this time, the vixen was afraid of the peachwood sword in the hands of Taoist Four Eyes and did not dare to step forward. He just slowly walked around Taoist Four Eyes. Taoist Four Eyes held the sword in his right hand and held a yellow talisman in his left hand. He confronted the vixen cautiously. "Haha, evildoer, today is the day you die. Why are you afraid?" Taoist Four Eyes raised his eyebrows in challenge. When the vixen heard this, he became a little anxious and stopped trying. He couldn't help but stepped forward to fight with Taoist priest Four Eyes. Taoist priest Four Eyes was waiting for it and stabbed the vixen in the chest with his sword. The vixen screamed in pain, and her hair suddenly grew longer and wrapped around Taoist Simu's arm holding the sword, preventing him from continuing to thrust forward. He waved his claws, trying to cut open Taoist Simu's heart and lungs. Seeing this, Taoist priest Four Eyes quickly put the yellow talisman in his left hand on the hair wrapped around his arm and muttered something, and then his hair broke one after another. Taoist priest Four Eyes jumped back, rolled around to avoid his claws, and stood up with a gray head and an ugly look on his face. It turned out that Taoist priest Simu was so anxious that he did not pull out the mahogany sword. Although the wound on Vixen was not deep, it was stabbed in the chest, and he was unable to move at this time. "Old bastard, I'll fight with you." The Vixen looked at the Taoist priest ferociously, and his eyes suddenly emitted 3 inches of green light. Taoist priest Four Eyes suddenly felt a little dizzy and couldn't help but close his eyes. When he opened his eyes, he found that he was in an antique bedroom. Old Taoist priest, come on, not far in front. A young woman wearing white sand was sitting on the bed, her private parts looming, and she said coquettishly to the Taoist priest. Taoist priest Four Eyes looked at the woman in front of him. Her appearance was hazy, and he couldn't see clearly. In his heart, he just felt that she was the most beautiful woman in the world. He was willing to give everything for her. Taoist priest Four Eyes could not help but walk towards her. Zhao Qi looked at the unpredictable scene in front of him, and his heart was going up and down like a roller coaster. He was about to scream when he saw Taoist Four Eyes stabbing Vixen in the chest, but the next second he saw Taoist Four Eye abandon his sword and run away. Immediately afterwards, Taoist priest Four Eyes was struck by some kind of spell, and he stupidly walked towards the Vixen. Yuan, what's wrong with Taoist priest Four Eyes? What should I do? Zhao Qi couldn't help but ask the only support in his mind. He fell under the Vixen's illusion. I can't help you in the mission world, Yuan said. But there is no but. You can only rely on yourself now. Even if I can help you this time, I won't be able to help you next time, and you still have a chance. After Zhao Qi heard what Yuan said, he could only wait and see what happened. Zhao Qi watched nervously and saw that when the four-eyed Taoist priest was about to reach the Vixen, the copper bell on his waist suddenly made a sound, which suddenly woke up the four-eyed Taoist priest. No, I fell into the Vixen's illusion. Taoist master Four Eyes hurriedly bit the tip of his tongue and spurted out a mouthful of blood. The Vixen let out a scream as her illusion was broken. The scene in front of Taoist priest Four was shattered instantly. It turned out that he had already walked to the Vixen's side, and it had even raised its paws. Fortunately, I almost got caught by this evildoer. Taoist priest Four Eyes broke out in a cold sweat and hurriedly hid behind him, but it was still a little too late. There was only a tearing sound, and the Taoist robe on the chest of Taoist Four Eyes was torn, and traces of blood oozed from the damage. Ahem. Taoist priest Simu fell to the ground and couldn't stand up for a while. The Vixen was already seriously injured, and now that the illusion was broken, the injury was compounded. Zhao Qi knew at this time that his opportunity had come. I can definitely do it. Zhao Qi encouraged himself, thinking about his relatives in the real world and his belief in not being content with being ordinary. I saw him running over quickly, with firm eyes, and facing the Vixen's fearful eyes, he stabbed the peach with sword and hard. It's impossible. Accompanied by the Vixen's desperate scream, it slowly turned into ashes. It turned out that the illusion was broken, the Vixen's spirit was shaken, and it would take a few minutes to move. Moreover, it did not take Zhao Qi, an ordinary person, seriously, thinking that he had been scared out of his wits. Unexpectedly, Zhao Qi gave it a fatal blow in the end. Ahem, haha, good job. Taoist priest Simu was lying on the ground, holding his chest, laughing and panting. Seeing this, Zhao Qi ignored his agitated mood and quickly went over to help Taoist Simu. Taoist priest, how are you? It's okay, just bandage it. There's gold trauma medicine in my package. Go get it and help me apply it. Taoist priest Four Eyes said. Zhao Qi looked around and saw a package placed in an open space. He carefully helped Taoist Simu to the foot of the tree and let him lean against the trunk gently. He went over to pick up the package and handed it back to Taoist Simu. You open it, there's a small blue porcelain bottle inside, cough cough. Zhao Qi opened the package as instructed, took out the small porcelain bottle, and carefully untied Taoist Simu's clothes. Don't get it wrong. After applying the medicine, he tore off his sleeves and bandaged Taoist Simu. Are you feeling better? Taoist priest. Zhao Qi asked with concern. Have a rest. It's no problem to get on the road. By the way, little brother, what's your name? How did you end up here? Taoist priest Simu asked curiously. My name is Zhao Qi. The warlords outside are fighting, and I have left my hometown. Zhao Qi paused and continued. I am homeless now. I just want to find a place to live and live a new life. After Zhao Qi said that, he looked at Taoist Simu, vaguely expecting something. As expected, Taoist priest Four Eyes said, just call me Taoist priest Four Eyes. Alas, these days. Taoist priest Four Eyes shook his head. I'd better drive away my corpse and make a living. I'm going to my senior brother's place recently. He's visiting Yi Zhuang in their town. There's nothing chaotic about it. If you don't mind, I'll take you there to have a look. You can stay with him temporarily or find a job by yourself. What do you think? I don't dislike it. I don't dislike it. Zhao Qi shook his head quickly, waiting for you to say this. Why would you still dislike it? In this case, let's take a rest and rush on our way after a while. We can't stay in the woods at night. Okay, Taoist Master Four Eyes. Okay, let's go. Taoist Master Four Eyes shook the copper bell in his hand and put the yellow talisman on Zhao Qi's forehead. Just lead them to jump. Hee, I am a wounded person. Young man, it's up to you. With that, Taoist Master Four Eyes walked forward slowly. Zhao Qi looked helplessly at the group of zombies following behind him, jumping up and down and following Taoist priest Four Eyes. Host Zhao Qi, complete the side mission, eliminate the vixen, and be rewarded with 1,000 origin points. Origin's voice suddenly appeared in Zhao Qi's mind. Side mission. Yes, because this system didn't expect you to kill the vixen, so it didn't issue this task, but you actually surprised me. Yuan said. How to get side missions? Zhao Qi asked. The side mission system cannot be promulgated directly and needs to be triggered by the host itself. Zhao Qi nodded. Then I already have 1,000 origin points, right? What can I redeem for them? Yes, the redemption function needs to be returned to the real world before it can be turned on. Okay, if I want exchange for Taoist Priest 4's century-old peachwood sword, how many origin points do I need? Zhao Qi asked. 1,500 points of origin. So many. Zhao Qi frowned. If I get a century-old mahogany sword in the movie world, can I take it out? Of course you can, but you need 750 origin points. Half. What if I got the powers in the movie world? According to the ability to collect uncertain origin points. Origin replied, I see. Zhao Qi thought about the 1,000 origin points that he already had, and with Taoist Master Four Eyes leading the way and helping him, he would be able to easily complete his apprenticeship with Uncle Ninth when the time came. He suddenly felt that tomorrow would be wonderful, and he was full of longing for the future. For the first time, the corners of his mouth showed a smile that he had after coming to the world of Mr. Zombie. What are you thinking about? Follow up. Taoist Master Four Eyes shouted from the front. Hey, here we come. Yes, I'm here. Chapter 3 Apprenticeship to Uncle Nine. The official road is long and endless, with no end in front and no destination behind. Looking from a distance, I saw an old Taoist priest walking in front, followed by a young man who looked to be in his 20s and a group of corpses wearing Qing Dynasty official robes. Taoist priest, how long do we have until we arrive? Even with Zhao Qi's physical fitness, which is twice that of ordinary people, he can't hold on anymore. I don't know how Taoist priest Four Eyes can travel all over the country. With such work day after day, it seems that Taoism is really mysterious. Brother Zhao Qi, it's quick. We're just a few dozen miles ahead. Just hold on. Taoist priest Simu twirled his beard and smiled. Zhao Qi glanced at Taoist Simu with disdain and said, Taoist master, you have told me this 3 times. As he got in touch with Tao Simu, he found that he was an informal person, so Zhao Qi became more and more casual when talking to Tao Simu. This time it's true, I swear. Zhao Qi looked at the four-eyed Taoist priest who was swearing and was speechless. Okay, I will believe you again. Zhao Qi looked far into the distance and found that he was the only one on the road. He smiled bitterly. It seemed that these were indeed troubled times. It is very different from the peaceful and prosperous times of later generations. However, he believes that China in this world will definitely get better. I see. There is a town ahead, Tao Simu. Do you see it? After walking for a while, Zhao Qi suddenly shouted excitedly to Tao Simu. I've known it for a long time. I've told you. How could I have deceived anyone for dozens of miles? Taoist priest Four Eyes raised his eyes and looked at Zhao Qi. But you have a pretty good eye. Hee hee hee. Zhao Qi rubbed the back of his head and smiled stupidly. We're finally here, Origin. Zhao Qi said to Origin in his mind. In front of Yizhuang Gate. Senior brother, junior brother is here to see you. Bang, bang, bang. Taoist priest Simu shouted while knocking on the door. Squeak. Who is it? Knocking on the door like this in the middle of the day? The person who came opened the door, yawned, rubbed his eyes, and then shouted. Hey, is it Uncle? Master, Uncle is here. I know my uncle is here, but you haven't invited him in yet. What are you doing there? Go inside and make tea for your uncle. Oh, it's useless. You're so stupid. I saw a man with white hair and even white eyebrows walking out. Zhao Qi knew that these were Jie Shu and Wen Kai because they looked a bit like Lin Zhengying and Su Guining in the movie.